Hello, it's me again, just being me. So today I thought I would talk to some of the younger folks out there and anybody else who would like to listen about some things dealing with life, some of the hard choices, some of the hard things that we have to think about in life. So, as a young person, how do you approach relationships? How do you approach your career? How do you set your priorities for finding a partner? Have you thought about a marriage? Have you thought about marriage? There are a lot of things to take into consideration when you start thinking about getting married or even being in a very serious relationship for a long period of time. So let's look at some facts first because we need to have some things that we all agree on. So I did a little research, and according to the American Psychological Association, 50% of all marriages in the U.S. end in divorce. That's for first marriages. 67% of second marriages end in divorce, and 75% of third marriages also end in divorce. Now, that's not to say don't get married, but there's reasons for these things. So, personally, myself, I've been married to my wife for over 31 years. So there is a chance for sustained marriage. But there's a lot of work that goes into that. It's not easy. Relationships aren't easy. Marriages aren't easy. And they get exponentially harder when you're raising children. Some folks look at it as something to bond over when you're raising children because, that takes, working together. If you're doing it right, it takes compromise and it just takes a lot of work. So I did some more research, and in a 2013 study, they cited that 75% of divorces ended due to a lack of commitment by either one or both individuals in the marriage. Also, that women initiate 69% of divorces in the United States. That is a fact. Now, couples who both do not come from a family with divorced parents are less likely to divorce. So if that's confusing to you, just let me say it straight. If both of your parents stayed married, then you and the woman that you are going to get married to or that you are married to have the same situation with your parents, then it's more likely that your marriage will succeed. Or less likely to end in divorce, however you want to look at that. So some things that you want to do if you're in the market. If you haven't already tied the knot and you're in the market, you're dating for marriage. You want to get married. So first, you have to be careful and deliberate when you're searching for your mate for life. Careful and deliberate when you're searching for your life mate. You have to know what you're looking for beyond the superficial. We all want someone that looks appealing to us and who, initiates that spark of desire in us when we see them. We all looking for that. That's the superficial stuff. because the beauty fades. And when the beauty's gone, you need to have something more solid there. So you need to look for characteristics you desire in a mate. So you first have to know yourself. You have to know what you want. And then look for those characteristics in a mate. So some of the things you might want to look for is loyalty, commitment, trustworthiness, and honesty should be some of those characteristics, along with others. But those, to me, are like that's the groundwork. That's the if you want to call it the foundation. You should both be equally yoked in the way that if you are a Christian or a believer in Christ and you follow that doctrine, then you should be looking for someone that is similarly yoked. It just makes it a little harder if you're a Christian and your mate is not, then you're going to have differences in a lot of things, and especially it's going to become important when you start talking about having children and how you're going to raise them. You must agree on whether you want children and when you might want children. Do you want them in the first year of marriage? Do you want to be married and kind of enjoy yourself for a while before you decide to settle down with children? Because believe me, when I say settle down with children, it does settle you down. You won't be able to travel as much, especially in the early years. You must agree on how the children are to be raised and how you're going to discipline the children. And it should be a joint decision. It shouldn't be just one of the two in the marriage making those ground rules. It should be both of you equally agreeing to how you're going to raise the children. You must agree on the business of the marriage. Now, when I say the business of the marriage, that means the financials. Because whether it's a single income home or a double income, if both parents are going to work, you have to agree on how you're going to set up your finances, and going forward, how your finances are to be handled. You must agree on this. This is one of the big issues in marriages. Is the couples don't agree on how the finances should be handled. And it doesn't matter how you decide to do it, as long as you're on the same page. You want to be successful, then you must work together. So you got to agree on how the bills get paid. You have to agree on access to the accounts. How many accounts? Joint accounts, separate accounts, which personally, I don't think is necessary. I think, maybe as you get along further in life and you build yourself up, you might set aside some money on one side or the other, like, his account, her account, to do little things. So you can do things for each other or for the children, or, just a little pocket money, a little something. So access to those accounts. Vacation budgets. You have to agree on that. You have to agree where the money comes from for vacations. You have to agree on the vacations, how the money is spent, how much money is spent on vacation. You can't just go wild. You'll break the bank. You also have to agree on retirement planning. That is the most important thing. You have to have a plan for retirement. You have to set aside something and put it in vehicles that will help you overcome inflation and different things, so that you can be ready when retirement comes, so that you can enjoy your retirement. You don't want to be working until you're 75 or 80, because we don't know how long we're going to live. Me personally, I retired at 58 years old. And I think I retired a few years late, honestly. But I retired at 58. And regardless to what the Social Security Administration and all these other financial planners and stuff was saying, I took my retirement at 62. Because I don't know how long I'm gonna live. I don't know about you, but I don't have that crystal ball. You know? I believe in what it says in the Bible. Only God knows that day. He knows every hair on your head. He knows everything about you because he made you. And he knows when your time is up. It could be up at 20. It could be up at 12. It could be up at 62. It could be up at 75, 105. Wherever it's at, you don't know. And there's no way you can plan for that. So just be ready. So if you live long enough to start your retirement and to live comfortably within your retirement, then you should retire. And if the earliest age that you can take your Social Security, in my point of view, I say take it. I mean, if you're, financially able to survive on it, you should have more than one stream of income in retirement. Because if you're just going to rely on Social Security, then you might have to work to 75 if it's still available. I would tell anybody that's still working today that you should plan so that if for some reason they're correct and Social Security runs out or it becomes less, then you should be ready and able to retire securely with whatever it is that you get, even if it's $0. You should have other streams of income in your retirement. So retirement planning is very important. Pay close attention to how you do that. Stay on top of it. And you'll have to, as life goes on, you'll be thrown bumps and hills and mountains and valleys that you'll have to go up and down and change your plan from time to time. But it shouldn't be drastic changes. It should just be adjusting to whatever is going on in the economy at that point in time. So remember, work towards retirement. That is very important because the way things are, there is a pretty good chance that, if you don't plan well for your retirement, that you'll be working until you die or very close to that. And while you're doing all of this and talking about finances, you want to manage your disposable income. That's the money that people kind of, spend haphazardly in some cases. I would say don't do that. I would say even with your shopping budgets or things like that, plan them. Every once in a while you're going to do something on a whim. If you don't, your wife's going to tell you that that she's bored. She's going to want to do something. But anyway, you should plan. You should always have a little money set aside for things like that. Moving on. So there's plenty of things to know or do to have a successful marriage. And because marriages are not monolithic, right? I mean, every individual is different. Every couple is different. So there are plenty more things to know or do to have a successful marriage. But I think this is a good start, the things that we just went over. And if anybody wants to add anything else down below in the comments, please do so. I'd be more than willing to listen. I mean, I don't know everything, but I do know something. I mean, I've lived this long and I've been married for over 31 years. We're still together and we're still, I don't want to use the word happy. I'm happy. I'm content. I'm fine. My wife is happy sometimes, and sometimes, she's not for one reason or another. But I don't know if you've been married or been with a woman in a romantic relationship for a long period of time, but that's going to happen. Uh, this is my second marriage. My first marriage only lasted 8 years, and you know there was reasons for that. But I don't want to get into that. What I do want to tell you about it is that if you are looking for continued a string of a continued happiness over long periods of time, then you're going to be disappointed because life is full of ups and downs. Life throws you curves, life throws you fastballs, life throws you knucklers. It looks like everything's going well, and then all of a sudden it just whoop, dips on you. So, that's life. That's something you can't control. And if you try to control that too much, there's planning and then there's just craziness. I would not, get that deep in the woods. I suggest to you. So take it with a grain of salt, but plan well and be flexible enough in your plan so that you can deal with those ups and downs and roundabouts and hurdles. But I will tell you that a good marriage is one where you work through whatever problems come up. You talk about things when it needs to be talked about. And I'm not telling guys out there, to be some kind of wimp or something, but you got to listen sometimes. You got to talk. You have to work together. That's just how it is. Now, the way I was raised, the man is the leader of the household. But I listen to my wife. And because if you don't, I don't know how long you're going to be married. You have to listen. And if she's got some good ideas, take them in, man. Use them. Let her feel like she's part of the decision making because she is. She should be. Don't just tune her out because women aren't dumb. Sometimes she might just have a, you know, get into one of those things where, she's doing things out of feelings instead of out of facts and just real life stuff. But just keep it in check, man, and listen when you can. Take her advice when you can. Use her advice when you can. Make her feel part of the team. She'll love you for that. Believe me. I'm certainly no expert. I am not an expert in marriage. If I was, I probably wouldn't have got married twice. I would have got my first marriage would have worked. I made some mistakes. I'm not gonna lie to you. We both did, but I can only account for mine. And so in this marriage, before I got married, when I decided to get married again, because it took me about 8 years in between the two. And when I decided to get married again, I made a vow to myself that this one was going to be for life. Right? So that means you got to put on the work boots. You got to put on the whatever the uniform is for work, and you got to go to work. There's fun times and there's times when it's really grinding work. But you got to get down into it and do it. I also personally, the word love gets thrown around quite a bit. And love is love. And I believe that if you do love someone, you'll know it. But that the initial love, the initial dopamine type love that you have in the beginning, that doesn't last forever. So when you get past that, when you're raising the kids and when the hard times come and when all that stuff, you got to know that, some people say, well, then at that point, your friendship kicks in. You have to be friends and all that stuff. Sometimes you're not friends. Sometimes you're not friends. Sometimes you're not lovers. Sometimes you're just working together towards a common goal. But then those times come back around. The loving, the caring, that's always there. What I mean, just that dopamine high type, you know, almost like a lust love. That in the beginning, it's not going to always be there. Trust me, it's not. And you'll have to really work towards that, work at that to keep it going, to keep that marriage going. All right, so like I said, I'm not an expert, but after being married for over 31 years, this is what I can come up with. And I've given you all of it, all that I can think of at this point. And so at this point, I just want to thank you for your time. If you're still here with me, thank you. And if you are, please hit the like button, subscribe, and share it to someone else who may just very well need this information or would like to hear it. If during your day, before you head home for the rest of the night, you decide to take yourself into a place or a situation where you run across someone in need, if you can help them, please do. That's the right thing to do. All right. So God bless you. May God bless your efforts in all that you do that is good. Talk to you next time.